watching Gov's Radio. This is where you go if you want to see something or if you want to hear something funny. Coming up in just a couple minutes. This is a joke I told. What? I'm not on Gov Radio? Call the police. Call my agent.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, first president of the United States, #1 on the dollar bill, and the guy who brought the revolution home to us 250 years ago. And now I'm doing something else again for the first time ever. I'm going to be the first founding father to perform stand-up comedy. That's right, at Govs. So go to govs.com, govs.com. Get your tickets now if you want to see me perform live. It's going to be fantastic. Martha thinks I'm crazy. John Adams thinks he's funnier than me. He's not. And Ben Franklin owes me a ton of money on the bar tab, so I'm going to cash in on that as well. It's going to be a great night. Trust me, I cannot tell a lie. This is going to be revolutionary. We got a great lineup of comedians all the way from Staten Island, from Long Island, and even from Washington, D.C. That's right. This is going to be a night to remember, so everybody come on out and check it out. My first stand-up show ever. It's going to be awesome. What's up, everybody?
America's turning 250, and it's time to rock out with our forefathers. American-made, battle-ready style for true patriots. Whether you're marching in the parade, grilling in the backyard, or raising a toast to liberty, do it in the gear that screams freedom. Celebrate 250 years of USA in style. Wear your American pride loud. Trendjackers.etsy.com. Grab yours before the fireworks.
Tony, welcome to Go.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
I gotta pat you down though, pal.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Got anything on you? Anything I should know?
I got nothing.
Anything weird going on? What? Alright, you go in, Tony. Good.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Tom Kelly of The Tom Kelly Show. Yes, this is not the only time I've gotten on my knees in the back room of a comedy club.
The Knock 'em Dead Comedy Radio Show is also brought to you by Two Eagles Auto Body. For more than 25 years, Two Eagles Auto Body has been the leader in auto body repairs and customer satisfaction on Long Island. Two Eagles Auto Body handles every type of auto repair, from custom applications and restorations to repairs involving insurance claims. Give Two Eagles Auto Body a call, and please ask for John Rossi at 516-328-2527. That's 516-328-2527.
Hey, how do you say there, people? It's Johnny Brennan, creator of the Jerky Boys, also of Fox TV's Family Guy fame. I just want to let you know you're listening to Tony on the Knock 'em Dead radio show. They're gonna keep knocking 'em dead, so keep listening, you wacky sons of bitch. Right there. Over and out there, sweet Charlie.
Long time no see, man. Hey, man, I miss you guys, man, that Knock 'em Dead Comedy Radio.
I just want to say thanks for making my millennium. Oh my gosh. Well, it's a love fest.
Yeah, you heard that story.
Yeah.
So I guess should I tell it again?
Oh yeah, if you want. I mean, yeah.
You know, you guys are into comedy. Does it really help when somebody gives the punchline?
Let's give a big shout out to Tony Walker.
Tony Walker, who's a friend of mine.
Tony Walker!
Tony Walker! Tony Walker, everybody. Stand up, Tony. Where are you? Tony Walker! Thank you so much, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Walker. Our favorite. We love you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday to you. Welcome to the Knock 'em Dead Comedy Show here on Gov's Comedy Club Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. The Knock 'em Dead Comedy Show, we're on Facebook and YouTube. Wherever you're watching from, we ask that you share the link on all your socials. Spread the word. Tell everybody you know about all the great shows here on Gov's Comedy Club Podcast, which is up for Best of Long Island, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We have been nominated for Best of Long Island. And I don't even know what category yet. I'll let you know tomorrow. That's how prepared we are on this show, ladies and gentlemen. The Knock 'em Dead Comedy Show. Oh, no matter where you're watching from, we ask that you, like I said, share the link. But if you'd like to participate in today's show and join in on the comment thread and say hi, maybe you have a comment or a question that you'd like to hear read, please do so on the YouTube feed, because that is where we're monitoring the comments on YouTube. If you want to stay on YouTube, if you want to stay on Facebook, we appreciate it. Go ahead and stay there. But if you want to be a part of the conversation today, jump on over to YouTube, because that is where we monitor the comments. The Knock 'em Dead Comedy Show, we're coming at you live from the legendary Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. And boy, do we have some legends here today. Of course, Frank is here because it's Thursday.
Good morning.
And joining us right there in the middle there, the one, the only legendary, that's right, I said legendary, New York DJ. Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Devivo is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo!
If
Yay!
you're any...
Howdy.
What's up, buddy? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming in today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for asking. Thanks
Absolutely.
for having me on.
Legendary.
My first comedy.
Oh, we're making history here, huh? First time doing comedy. Well, that's the thing. If anybody's a music fan, if you're a real music fan, then you definitely know who Darren Devivo is. If you're not a big crazy music fan, well, you're gonna possibly discover Darren Devivo today. What a story! What a career! But I guess we'll get right to the juicy stuff, and then we'll work our way back. But the big news around Darren Devivo, thankfully, we can still catch him on some Beatles-related podcasts. But
right.
the big news, what would you say, about 2 weeks ago, WFUV, where Darren was part of the staff there and one of the on-air talents since 1984. That's right. I said 1984. About 2 weeks ago was laid off. One of the 5 WFUV staff members shown the door, the result of elimination in government funding for public broadcasting. Darren, to start off, can you explain exactly what that means for people that may not be in the radio world, may not know what that says?
Well, I'm this close. To living in a cardboard box underneath the Cross Bronx Expressway is what it means.
I got a couch here in the studio.
Yeah. Basically, the decision was made to cut funding for public broadcasting by the president a few months back. And public broadcasting, of course, that means radio and TV. Anything that is, excuse me, funded by a combination of listeners, the government, etc.
Like Channel locally, Channel 13 and Channel
So I was
21?
just going to say 21, WLIW, WNET, Channel 25, I believe. I think I forget their call letters in New Jersey. And plus here in the New York City metro area, there's WNYC radio. I believe, I forget the call letters for Stony Brook.
Oh, WUSB, I believe it.
I believe
USB.
they're also non-commercial funded, and WFUV, of course, is. And the majority of our operating budget, or I should say their operating budget, is from listener donations. That's why the fundraisers, the on-air fundraisers, are critical.
Right.
But there's a pretty big, significant chunk of the budget comes from the government, from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Once the government cut the funding off, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting went away, and everyone in public broadcasting basically, held on for dear life, not knowing what the future would bring. And I could honestly speak that while I was concerned for WFUV's future, I never thought something this drastic would happen this fast. I thought it might be a thing that as time went by and you try to cut corners at home, eliminate that or eliminate this, and if it's not enough, then you eliminate more. And then in time, hopefully that did the trick. But it turned out that WFUV, which is owned by Fordham University, I guess the situation was a bit more dire than I even pretend to know or understand, said this business major. It warranted a rather significant, cut, which involved letting 5 folks go, and 2 of the DJs, and that one of them was me. And I mean, for me personally, there's a little piece of me that understands why this happened, but the majority, of course, is not that I'm in denial, but I'm angry that it happened for a variety of reasons, the way it happened.
Yeah.
And I'm shell-shocked because I've been doing one thing for the most part for 41 years.
One thing at one place.
At one place, I mean, you're talking about not only just a place of employment, but, as a student at Fordham University, going to the Rose Hill campus in the Bronx was, and then you work there, it's becoming almost a daily thing for decades. And then my wife was a graduate of Fordham. She got her master's there. My daughter went to Fordham, graduated there. So there was a connection. It was in my home borough. I'm a Bronx native. And I actually went to Fordham University because I knew it had a powerful college radio station, and I was determined to get on it. And one of the first things I did upon the beginning of my freshman year was go find where the station was located and find out what needed to be done to join. And I got really involved. I was on the air numerous times every week. I had several other positions, and all of that reflected in my grades, unfortunately, because it sort of became the priority to me then, and which we'll talk about, I guess, as the show goes along. One thing led to another, and it was a case where, like in The Godfather Part 3, every time I thought I was leaving, I'd get pulled back in. An opportunity would pop up, something unforeseen, and next thing I know, I'm a graduate. I'm supposed to be out of here, but there's still things happening. And oh, by the way, Darren, would you like a job? Would you want to do? Would you want to? The afternoon? Would you want an afternoon drive shift? I was working at Tower Records in Yonkers at the time, and I said, "Hold on, I'm going to call them and quit right now."
Right.
And and even then, what did I do? Sign on for my first radio job. What would it last? A couple of years?
Sure. Right.
41 years later, it had gotten to the point where I would joke around with some of the other, and a lot of people at WFUV are there a long time, nowhere near as long as me.
Right.
But I used to joke around that it would be a situation where we would all die there, and they would put in like crypts or like a mausoleum that we'd be buried there in the wall, like they buried the priests under the altar at St. Patrick's Cathedral. So I'm not going to have my opportunity to be buried under Keating Hall, but I make light of it. But it definitely is been a very bizarre, scary 2.5 weeks, because this happened on September 8th.
I have to admit, I think I would lay you off just for quoting Godfather 3. Nobody admits to watching that
I
movie.
like it a lot. I mean,
Really?
you take Sofia Coppola out of it, because that's the lightning rod. Everyone goes to Sofia Coppola's performance. If you remove her from that, I think opinions would have changed. It's not up to this par, but did you really expect it to be equal to 1 and 2 when it was new, when it was just out?
But the fact that they were her and Andy Garcia are cousins, like why did they have to be cousins? That didn't make sense to me. Why couldn't they just be lovers? I don't know.
It could have been brother and sister. It could have been worse.
See, now you're just getting weird on me, Darren DeVito. Did you see the director's the new cut that they put out a few years ago? That was a little bit better. The movie made sense to me, at least. Like at least I was able to follow it at that point. But
I saw it, and I honestly don't remember. I even forgot it existed till just a second.
Okay. Well, you have plenty of good reason to be distracted and not realize that that even happened. And you made the joke earlier about living under a bridge, but that's the thing. I mean, in all seriousness, there was never, especially public radio, it's not great money.
Well,
career-wise.
I'll say this. I want to be clear that I am so thankful and I am so blessed to have had the career that I had.
Sure.
And that the opportunities popped up when they did. I tell people, you do have to have talent, and you have to know what you're doing in a field you're going into.
Sure.
It wouldn't be the worst thing if you get some luck. And luck is necessary.
Okay.
And sometimes good fortune and I had all of that break my way and last decade. So in one respect, the luck ran out. I can't complain. And I've had a very good career. I have a wonderful family. I'm not going to be living underneath the highway anytime soon.
Right.
I might have to order from Chipotle a little less often.
Right.
You know what I mean? I might have to buy one $500 John Lennon box set less.
A peanut butter sandwich. Bring it in every day.
Right. Exactly. I've been getting used to crackers and hummus for lunch. And but and you don't know what's coming down the pike next. So.
Exactly. And I was actually going to.
Generally speaking, not even public broadcasting, just I think radio broadcasting in general. It's not a place where you go to make a fortune unless you're lucky enough to get into like a major market and a major station in a major market where you could go from making pocket change
right
to coming close to making 7 digits.
Yeah, but even that, and you're absolutely right. But even that, and you've had the fortune of, I mean, I don't know as far as money, and I'm not asking, but you've had the freedom to kind of almost do it on your terms and meet and work with the people that you admire, as opposed to working for a major conglomerate that tells you, okay, play Taylor Swift, for the next 3 hours, So I guess it depends on how you measure success. But I personally, I mean, that's why I love where I am. I get the freedom to say whatever I want, talk to whoever I want, bring on whoever I want, and I mean, we can curse and I don't have licensing to play music, but sometimes I sneak something in anyway, and big deal. But I wouldn't trade that. I wouldn't trade that for I mean, granted, if we're talking crazy money, I might try to make that work. But there's still something to be said about having the freedom to do the show that you want to do?
Well, it wasn't like that. It's not like that now as much. But I've seen, I mean, the WFUV that I worked at in the mid 80s and late 80s is almost entirely a different place, except the name's the same and we're in the same building. And I got a taste at Freeform, play whatever you want. And you were smart enough if you were doing it and you learned enough that you knew how to play whatever you want within your own personal parameters, you know, and craft shows. And that's very slowly went away, even at WFUV.
Wow.
Today, the station is formatted. It's been formatted for a long time. There isn't a lot of freedom for the DJs to explore today. Yet at the same time, the playlist still is very wide, and the artists that we play are very wide. So the artists that they play are very wide. A lot of new music and breaking a lot of new artists these days.
Sure.
And doing it in a way where there's a large pool, but there is a guideline for the DJs to kind of stick to. There's a method to the madness, which makes is a little frustrating sometimes, I think, at least it was for me, having come from a place where once upon a time, I put the entire show together myself from top to bottom. The first years I worked at WFUV, it was a classic example of a college radio station. I was a student at Fordham, and the music department, other than 2 paid employees, everyone was students. Changes happened. By the end of the 80s, 1990, there had been a lot of change. A lot of professionals were being brought in to guide the students who were still there. And that's how the door opened in the music department for me to, you know, get hired from being, you know, a college jock to being a professional jock. And even then, you know, the music that we played the breadth was enormous.
Right.
But there still was very, very loose, you know, guidelines to stick to. But years went by, and it was always great to do that type radio, although that type radio pretty much is non-existent there now.
But FUV, at least what it seemed like to me at the time, going to maybe the late 80s, the late 90s, even the early 2000s, you know, back, like you're talking about the 80s and early 90s,
but even a little later on then too. Yeah, it was still free. You detected the freedom because, like, I would have a format in front of me, which mainly told me to play certain new stuff, certain heritage artists, but there was wiggle room in there. You know, I was on middays for 12 years, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, and I had a set that I did at noon called Under the Covers, which was my thing. You know, so I would pick, today is so-and-so's birthday. Let's pick 4 songs from other people doing this individual songs.
Right.
And I could pick the 4 that I wanted. I wouldn't pick, like if I was doing a Joan Baez set, no, I shouldn't say I wouldn't play Judas Priest's version of what's the Joan Baez song? They cover a Joan Baez song. And now I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on the title, but I might play it,
right?
Because it would be kind of a curiosity. But what I would choose would stay within the ballpark of what WFUV was.
Right.
There isn't that freedom today, unfortunately. But again, for the listener, there is still. It is still coming from a pool that's wider than any commercial station is going to have.
Right. That's where I was going with that. You know, by the late 90s, you know, going back to the 70s and 80s, between playing album sides and deep cuts and the artists themselves, you know, coming into the studio. I mean, that still happens, you know, if you're listening to satellite, you hear interviews with the artists, but like I remember one time, I think it was the late 70s, and I was, you know, young, but I was already listening to that stuff. I remember The Who coming in, you know, to see Scott Muni unannounced.
Yeah.
you know, completely unannounced, you know, or Dennis Elsis, those classic interviews with John Lennon that, you know, that went down in history. By the late 90s, NEW wasn't doing that anymore. BAB, you know, again, sticking locally, they weren't doing that stuff anymore, and we could still go to FUV to kind of get that kind of flair.
And that's still happening today.
Yeah.
It's still happening today there at FUV, where they probably do bring more live guests into the studio than any other station does. But there was a time, you know, when you're talking about like the late 90s into the aughts, where, I mean, it was every week. It was 2-3 bands booked and an artist booked, up and coming, new, established, you know, and that is something that died down in commercial radio a while back, but kept going at FUV.
But it did, it did kind of, I guess until now, it did kind of, everybody thought once satellite came that terrestrial radio was, you know, going to disappear, and it kind of balanced off. Definitely not what it used to be, but it kind of balanced off, I guess, until now. So getting back to, you know, what just happened here, and trying to not get crazy into politics, but why would the government, why would they cut the funding for a station like FUV?
Well, you know, it's hard to talk about these things without getting into a little bit of politics. So to try to answer that and at the same time not say the wrong thing, honestly, what I would the gist that I would get was that President Trump was not too pleased with the type of coverage that he would get and his administration was getting from NPR stations. And I think that may have been at the core of thinking, okay, no funding for you. And if there was anything more to it, which I'm sure there was, I don't, you know, at some point, you know, I click off from this stuff and can't deal. But I think that is sort of running through this whole thing. And it was allowed to happen. That almost is more unbelievable than it actually, you know, being put on the table.
Yeah.
You would think there would have been several that would have went, no.
But, or, you know, I'm a big union guy, have been for many, many years. So I'm also the type that says, all right, so something like did happen, and I don't know if that's the case here. I'm not in the radio world, but my thought process is always, well, the top guy is usually the guy making more than everybody else. Let him him or her take a cut, so that, you know, certain people can keep their jobs, you know, and figure out a way to balance it all out. Okay, we got cut funding. We got to fundraise more. We got to figure out a way to save Darren and this guy and that woman and, you know, all their jobs. And, you know, I'll take a cut here, and we got to cut back on this. You know, so is there any? Does that pertain to this, or you're like, no, FUV had no choice but to do it the way they did?
I think, and I have reason to believe I'm sort of accurate in this thinking, that it was the decision making of Fordham University. And that Fordham looked, you know, I mean, I am sure 40 years of Darren on WFUV doesn't quite mean that much to them in the office when they're looking at the big picture of a university. So Darren, at the moment, my air shift was late weeknights. You could very easily automate it without a host, and a lot of that is going on in radio today.
Right.
So that made it easy, perhaps, to say, okay, thanks and all, Darren. It's nothing you did, but the computer could take it from here. We need to figure out a way, you know. So the ultimate decision was pretty much Fordham University's, I believe. And what input or what say, or I have no idea about FUV's management. I don't know. Nothing was said. Everything's hush hush, quiet, secretive. Who knows?
Yeah.
All I know is I'm here scratching my head going, what happened? You know what I mean? Huh?
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're all doing that. I mean, FUV without Darren Devivo. I mean, I don't know. It's like Jeopardy without Trebek. It's not the same, and it,
Wow.
it just doesn't
thank
make
you.
sense.
I mean, I appreciate that. I really do because, I personality-wise, I'm always the type of person that looks at the glass half empty and everything.
Right. You have to.
If 10 people come up to me and go, "Great job," and the 11th person says, "You suck," the "you suck" sticks.
Yeah.
Oh, I suck. I shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
Those first 10 people are supposed to say nice things. So when you do hear some positives like that, you're like, wow, that's like, I can't, oh, where's the person that, thinks I suck? Because that's the reality, right?
Oh, yeah.
Probably not, but, I appreciate the comparison. And I would like to think that being on the air that long on a radio station to people who will go to it and listen and then I've always said I'm sort of like wallpaper at FUV or carpeting, old carpeting. I'm always there. And if they ripped me up and put down another carpet, you'd feel out of whack that the place,
Right.
So I'm old worn carpeting is what I ended up being.
Well, first off, we're coming, live from Governor's Comedy Club, and it's the same thing. I mean, every comedian on that stage, myself included, I've never crushed it, but other real comedians, they're in that room and there's almost 400 people in that main club laughing their asses off. They'll walk off that stage, and all they'll talk about was the one guy they saw that wasn't laughing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And it gets you. But you mentioned the walking on the old carpet. It's something. In fact, just yesterday I was talking to my wife about it. Because I do a lot of comedy and I run a comedy troupe where we do dinner theater, and even in here, we're all, Frank and I are missing up here. You and I have these giant white beards. I am starting to question, the being on stage, being relevant. Do people want to hear from these old guys, or is it, the audience it's starting to creep in with guys that don't identify, with people that don't identify the topics I'm talking about on stage. Do you think that might have anything to do with it? Or that I just completely put a whole new fear into you?
See, in this instance, if I'm correct, and I think I'm for the most part correct, if this was a ultimate decision made by Fordham University, or it could have been any station at any university, because they're kind of like, if WFUV is hemorrhaging money, Fordham's going to feel it, and if WFUV is doing very well, and WFUV can live comfortably, and Fordham benefits from it. So I would think that, like I said, I think that the decision was from up above, and I don't think that they would look at things like they can't look at things like age and stuff like that in this, but it is definitely a concern in general, I think, in entertainment, in the media, where younger is in and older might not be out, but then again might be out. I mean, you see it on news. If you watch local news, you see it.
Yes.
Like you say, even like sports announcers. I just heard Mets announcer Howie Rose say yesterday that he thinks he's back next year, but he's down to the last. He's not going to be doing it much more. And he feels that the snap reactions that he had when he's younger aren't quite there. And you think about it and you're like, well, yeah, there's been a turnover, whether it's by accident or not. A lot of younger announcers, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But I think in comedy, I would like to believe that if you're a 70-year-old guy and you're hysterical, you're going to be able to get up on stage. And if you're up on what you're doing, you can keep your show relevant and contemporary. And that's what we did at WFUV. I mean, I'm 60. And there are DJs there who are both older and younger than me. But we're all within this mid 40s plus,
Right.
playing music that probably appeals to 20-year-olds, and we're digging it like they are. You know what I mean? Maybe there's one or two things that we might play that, scratch my head and go, but for the most part, you think young and you can be old.
Right. Oh yeah.
That makes sense?
That makes
Yeah,
total sense. I'm still 18 in my head, and I look in the mirror. I just don't. I try not to worry about it. There is, there is a demographic of people our age that want to tune into people our age. So it's definitely not as big of an audience as the younger guys. But I just, like you said, it's inevitable. I can't change this. So I just try to keep going.
And the way you're thinking is probably the way to go, because you could drive yourself mad.
Right.
And I've done that, and thinking that I'm getting older. The artists that really resulted in me being here doing what I'm doing are dying off, or if they're not dying off, they're not as active as they used to be.
Right.
And
Right.
the people who are coming in, whether it may say in the case of music, whether it's artists I like or artists I don't like, it doesn't matter. They're young enough to be my kids now.
Right.
There was a couple of bands I know that that WFUV has played that I probably told some other people that I'd feel funny interviewing them, because I'd be like, grandpa's interviewing, this band of 19-year-old musicians who, like, hey, farthead, what are you doing asking me questions? What do you know? Go home and play your Yes albums, all right?
Right. You want to talk about
that gap exists now, and luckily, I didn't have to deal with it, but it's scary, and it can get you down when you're in the older.
You want to talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and I have a 26-year-old daughter at home. Like I don't want to go there. Well, but all right, but let's talk about the positives. I mean, what have you've been sleeping in the past 2 weeks, hanging around the house naked? Like you've been able to enjoy yourself?
No, I've been miserable. I honestly, the first week or so, I was miserable, and I think I have been fired, but major, significant job, I've never gone through this.
Right.
One of the minuses about being in any position as long as I've been is that when something should happen, when the real world taps you on the shoulder, you're not prepared for it. And I've gone through every emotion, waves of raging anger that had happened to me, and that it could have been avoided. I'm sure it could have. They should have asked me about my pay cut. I would have taken one.
Right.
They could have done this. They could have done that. I'm mad. Son of a bitch. And then it goes into terror about what the future is going to bring, even though there's no reason for me to feel terrified about the future.
Yeah.
Then there's hope, and then there's, and it cycles. And now what's happening is it's basically I'm trying to keep active at home and trying to move the boulder towards what's next.
Yep.
And I've got some things happening, and also now that you're home, the honeydew list is now written in ink,
exactly.
not penciling. So I've got stuff that I'm trying to do around the house that now has kind of come a little more front and center.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, you can learn how to turn the stove on now, Darren.
Yep, and get
Where
that
is
vacuum
it?
out. Yep.
Yeah.
But
so it's been a balance of all of that and adjusting. I'm not a person that likes change. So when change hits me, sometimes I think it hits me harder than some others. So I've gone through those moments where, I sit in the corner, suck my thumb and rock back and forth and mumble to myself.
Well, that's fine. You've
I
deserved
can't even
that.
I can't even find peace elsewhere, because then I put my New York Mets on and they're going down the tank. But, it's like, please, guys, you're supposed to be kind of making me laugh and look forward to something. I'm looking for the vein to slit now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they already slit theirs. Unbelievable. I mean, how do you lose 2 to Washington? And they put up a fight against the Cubs 2 nights ago, but last night was just atrocious. I admit to you, pal, there's a part of me that doesn't want to even see them make the postseason because the way they're playing, they're not going to pass the first round anyway. So what's the point?
Well,
unless they breathe a new life. They have what, 4 games left?
We've seen it happen with other teams as we segue to sports. We've seen it happen to other teams that when the postseason starts, it's almost like a page is turned and suddenly, a team's pitching staff suddenly is shutting everyone out. You're like, well, the anxiety that I went through as a fan to get to this point, I'm hanging my hat on them getting in and that happening. That they figure it out, that the bats come alive and cover up for the spotty pitching, or we get the outing out of a starter that we didn't want when all of a sudden Pete Alonso forgets how to hold the bat. I mean, these highs and lows that the Mets have presented this year boggle my mind.
Right.
And I think Yankee fans also probably have dealt with the similar highs and lows. They can't score runs, and then they're scoring 15 runs a game 3 weeks later.
Right.
But
that's the Yankees.
The
Yankees
Mets have added to my anxieties.
Yeah. The Yankees always seem to find a way where the Mets, our beloved Mets, we're almost we can say that we're used to it as Met fans, but at the same time, the Mets always seem to find a new way to break our hearts.
Yeah. Although this year, it could be worse. We could be Tigers fans.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about it. Well, and we've been there. What was that? Willie Randolph, that big collapse under Willie Randolph in that September. Yeah, we've been there. Yeah, Detroit is just, this is crazy. And is it Texas, too, that's kind of crumbling?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Craziness.
It's been a weird baseball season. I mean, you look at teams, folks ain't into sports right now. We're probably looking to shut up and move back to music or something. But I mean, if you look at how this year has gone, like, for example, in the American League Central Division, I mean, there was a time earlier this year, a brief time, that the Minnesota Twins got so hot that they went into first place.
Right.
And now I think the Twins are on the verge of 90 losses, and they're buried. And the Kansas City Royals spent a little time in first place.
Right.
Then they went backed off.
Yep.
Then the Tigers had it all year. And here come the Guardians. And I think that's what I'm hanging my hopes on for the postseason. If the Mets get in, that once they're in there, it's going to be a little different. It looks like we're going to play the Dodgers, who also really haven't been able to get out of their own way this year.
Right.
And
who expected
I think
that?
The Dodger series is close to being a toss-up.
Yes.
Right now.
I agree. Totally agree. And I like your attitude better than mine because, I
don't have a good attitude. It's okay now. Let's do this show tonight in the 4th inning of tonight's game,
right.
And it'll be totally different.
If they don't make it, okay? If they don't make it, is it time for Mendoza to go?
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think the guy was. We loved him. We worshipped it at his throne a year ago.
Yes.
Did he become incompetent? No, I hang it all on David Stearns with the Mets.
Okay.
Stearns has this small market mentality. I'm sure he's brilliant, and it worked a lot for him. And it worked for him last year to an extent. You look at that patchwork quilt of a pitching staff that ended up getting us going pretty far, but because it had to, the pitchers had to produce at 110% constantly, they ran out of gas against the Dodgers, and they just had nothing left. Now, this year, tried the same way, and it all fell apart.
By the All-Star break.
It's a flawed way to go about. Let me just accumulate reclamation projects and, not get bogged down with contracts. Look at it this way. I wanted the Mets to sign Max Fried.
Okay, sure.
The Yankees signed Max Fried. I think they gave him an 8 or 9 year contract.
Right.
This is a guy who's already hit 30. He tends to be injury prone. When he's on, he's great. But I've seen plenty of Met Braves games. You have too over the years. That Max Fried's either hurt or he's throwing batting practice. But the Yankees grabbed him, and what has he done? He's won 19 games this year. And boy, would that have looked nice in a Met uniform. So what? We'd have him for 9 years.
Right. I agree.
So what?
Right.
But so instead, we go get a guy that was working at the Sunoco station, who can throw hard, and we try to fix him, and we do, till he realizes in June he's tired and he can't pitch anymore.
Right.
And you're stuck.
But let's bring Cedric Mullins into center field where we didn't have an issue. Let's bring him in.
I was fighting with my son a lot over that move because I like Tyrone Taylor, but he was not producing much, and I don't know still if he's an everyday player. But and Cedric Mullins has some power, and I thought was Gold Glove caliber in the outfield. At least that's what I think I heard. And I just see Harrison Bader in Philadelphia, and we could have brought him back.
Yes.
And now we have Cedric Mullins, who's a human air conditioner when he comes up to bat, and can't play the outfield all that well.
Right. Nothing was getting past
Jeff
Taylor.
McNeil back out there.
Yeah. Right. But you bring somebody like Mullins in, you got to play him because of that contract. So I was totally baffled by that. Nothing gets past Taylor. You had McNeil. I mean, their outfield, their outfield was not an issue. So but I'm going to tell you my biggest problem with the Mets this year. What the hell was that stupid Shea versus City old timers thing?
Oh, I like that.
Oh, come on. Strawberry and Mookie are the ambassadors. There's nobody there from the 70s and 80s.
Oh, I know what you mean. I thought the same thing. In fact, my mom was texting me I was at that game. And
oh, wow.
She's sending me texts because she had seen Strawberry was there. Gooden, I don't recall Gooden being there, but he was.
No,
but
Mookie.
Strawberry was.
Strawberry was the ambassador for the one team. Mookie was the ambassador for the other team.
Right.
Those are the only guys from the 80s there.
I don't know. I mean, what could come into play here is, can they still play, and do they even want to attempt it in public?
It doesn't matter.
So
the fans want to see those guys. They want to see the guys who got a ring. It doesn't matter if they can play or not.
We had a great Old Timers Day a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Who's not to say that we won't have another one next year?
Well, we better.
But this was a different twist on it.
And
I enjoyed it a lot.
Did you?
I really did enjoy it. It bothered me a little to see Turk Wendell's stomach was equal in size to mine. Rick Reed falling off the mound and going for a ground ball.
Right.
These guys that it feels like 2 weeks ago I was rooting for them are now
if I'm going to that game, I'm asking for a refund. Kirk Neuenhuis? Who gives a shit?
But his performance in 2015 has etched him in Met lore. I love Kirk Neuenhuis for those 3 home run games that helped propel us. One of my all-time favorite Mets is always going to be R.A. Dickey.
Oh, sure. Yes. Oh, yeah, there were some we wanted to see. Absolutely.
That was great, and I always liked Rick Reed because, I don't know, he was sort of always seemed to be like the underdog, forgotten guy.
Well, he was
that when
the
chips
scab.
were on the table, he was more consistent and better than.
Yes, he
and
was.
Turk Wendell is a minor all-time Met name, so it was fun, and it was a variation of Old Timers Day, like the Yankees. I'm assuming it's still every year thing for the Yankees. I don't know if they skip years now, but it's gotten to the point now. It's the same thing. The Mets went and tried something a little different.
All right, you're right about that. So
put him on the field, let him play.
Yeah.
Strawberry probably can't play. Gooden probably can't throw anymore.
True,
Why embarrass him? We'll bring back Mike Baxter and the connection to Queens.
Right. All right.
Okay.
John, we have a phone call. You guys tell me. Let me know if you can hear him. John, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I really am. It's rude of me, but I must say, Tony, one of the greatest men that live in the Bronx go to Fordham University. And I commend him for going to Fordham University. It's a fantastic school. However, I love this man until he said he was a Mets fan. And please ask him, how could he be born, raised in the Bronx, still live in the Bronx, and become a Mets fan?
John, I do have to say this. you scared the crap out of me there because I didn't know when you said but. And I'm like, oh no, what did I say? Actually, it's a good question, John. First of all, I live outside of the Bronx. I'm in Westchester County now. Yeah, born and raised Morris Park section of the Bronx. Why a Met fan and not a Yankee fan? Good question. I don't know. When I was getting into sports, like when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I don't remember there being it's all Yankee fans and no Met fans. It was kind of 50-50 split.
Really?
Because at that time, the Yankees were an okay team, but the George Steinbrenner era hadn't happened yet. The Mets were coming off 69 and had 73. So I think there was a little bit of a balance there with the two teams, I'm assuming. And I just gravitated to the Mets, I think, because my mom's father, my grandfather, was a New York Giants fan, was from Harlem, and would go to Polo Grounds games, would go to Giants games at the Polo Grounds. And I seem to remember when I'd go up to their apartment, when they'd watch me when I was really young, my grandfather loved to watch baseball, and I seem to remember more times than not the Mets being on TV. That could have been it. I liked the Yankees during those very early, 72, 73. But it was when we go to Giants games.
John, lower your computer there, John.
When the Yankees started, with Catfish Hunter and Reggie Jackson, and turned into world beaters, as the Mets had Bruce Beauclair.
He's too young to go to the Polo Grounds.
He's too young.
That's when it became I hate the Yankees deal.
The Polo Grounds. He's a young man.
No, John's complaining that you were too young to go to the Polo Grounds. No,
I didn't go to the Polo Grounds. I went to my first Met game at Shea in 1971. My grandfather went to the Polo Grounds.
Pay attention, John.
Can't hear him.
Oh, you can't hear him. Oh, I didn't know.
No, I can't hear him.
Well, you mentioned the Polo Grounds. Oh, because you had the computer turned up? Yeah, he was saying his grandfather went to the Polo Grounds, and they would watch the Giants. A lot of Giants fans transferred to Mets fans once the Mets came about. So.
And I remember.
Well, just tell the gentleman this. First of all, ask him what high school he went to. I'm very curious what high school he went to in the Bronx.
You could ask me, John.
Well, John can't hear you. So.
Oh, he can't hear me.
Yeah,
I am sorry. You got to realize. I went to Salesian High School in New Rochelle.
Johnny went to Salvation High School in New Rochelle.
Salesian.
Oh, High School. Salesian High School.
Salesian. Very, very good school. Tell him I went to Cardinal. I went to Cardinal Hayes for 2 years. Graduated. Got thrown out of Cardinal Hayes. Graduated Clinton. And the closest I came to go to Fordham University is I bought a car in SM Rose Chevrolet. If you can tell him that, he'll laugh.
Yeah.
Well, he can hear you, John. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's the closest I came to Fordham University. All right, I'll let you guys go.
Okay.
All right, great guest.
Thank you, pal.
Talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, buddy. John checking in. All right, let me read some comments actually while we got this little break in the action here.
Should I cover my ears?
What's that? No, not at all. Not at all. They're all just. We have a good. Loyal. I just call them extended family. I don't like saying fans because I'm not even anywhere close to that kind of level. So I just say extended family because they're so supportive and they watch every day. They're all just saying hi to each other. Can you? What? Can you ask him about if he could tell us about his T-Rex? I don't know what that means. Somebody said earlier that you look like Sean Connery. Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know Sean Connery was a DJ. Oh, okay. Yeah, and a few people are saying that they're surprised as a Bronx guy that you're
a Met fan.
A Met fan, yeah.
It was like I said when I was a kid. It wasn't that much of a big deal. But
yeah,
yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, everybody's just saying hi to each other and talking amongst themselves. Who would? So you mentioned that you were actually at that game. What memorable Met games were you at?
Oh, number one, front and center, but it wasn't because of the game. It was the last game at Shea in 08.
Oh yeah, I was there.
Now, it's going to sound like it's going to sound weird, but the amount of anguish I felt that day was as bad as anything I have felt because I loved Shea Stadium.
Me too. It was such a dump,
with
but it was
all
our
of
dump.
its flaws.
Yep.
I would be the guy that would be in there going, if they shut this place down for a year, they could turn this thing into like an old-looking amusement park.
Right.
Because it was old, there was a lot of flaws about it, but it was home.
Right.
You know, it was a dump, but it was my dump. Well, yeah, okay, it was a dump. But typical Met fashion, that final game,
right.
You can't just say goodbye to the stadium. You have to have a winner-take-all final game. Playoffs or no playoffs, they lose to the lousy Marlins.
Yep.
C.C. Sabathia, about to become a Yankee, pitches the Milwaukee Brewers into the playoffs. We lose to the Marlins, and oh, by the way, say goodbye to Shea. And when the game was over, I have the feeling, I can't describe the emptiness. I was hysterical crying, and my daughter, at the time, my daughter would have been 10, 10 or 11. Till this day, she says, I have never seen a human being cry as much as Dad cried that day. And I think I was freaking her out a little bit, and I was trying to control myself. And then the bizarre ceremony afterwards, which was brilliant.
Yes.
But we're saying that you're reeling from a complete crap out for the second year in a row for the Mets.
Right.
Happening here as we say goodbye to the stadium, which the majority of the Met fans love. But you're pissed off at them, or you're sad, or you're both.
Right.
And Seaver and Piazza walking off the field. It was like, are you serious? Can you hit me with a bolt of lightning now? Because I can't go on.
Imagine how Howard Johnson was feeling. He was, on the coaching staff. They just lost that game. Now he's got to be a part of that ceremony. I mean, and he even you saw it in his face. He's supposed to be all, for this wonderful ceremony, but same thing. He just looked like he wanted to cry.
And you know what? When they won the game, the Marlins, I remember seeing the players celebrating on the mound as they dug up dirt to take home as a souvenir. Yes. I want the Mets to clinch a playoff spot in Miami this weekend, okay? And I want somebody on the team to go out to the mound, drop their draws, and drop a load right on the mound in Miami and go,
wow,
there you go. Pick that up.
That's fantastic.
But that's not going to happen. The Mets are going to get eliminated. No, I'm kidding. I won't go there. But that game, that 08 game, because of the heaviness of the moment, and it was bizarre. Now, you say you were there. I don't know if you remember after, as you were leaving. I remember I couldn't leave, and I kept asking my daughter, would you mind if Daddy went, could you take a picture? We had lousy seats up in the upper deck in the corner. So
That's exactly where I was, in right field.
You see a guy crying a lot? No, I'm kidding. I went up to the very last seat in the upper deck in the corner. I've got pictures. She took some pictures of me up there, trying to smile. And by the Tommy A.G. marker.
Right, okay, yeah.
There with which I still don't know how a home run went up there, but fine. Right. And then, within 10 minutes, the ushers were like, you got to get out of here.
Yes.
And I'm like, really? What, do you got a game to play?
Right.
And they were told, no, they're coming in tonight.
Yes.
And they're going to start tearing the concourses apart tonight.
Yes, I do remember that.
Like a 2-week window or something where anything that could be lifted out of there needed to be taken out of there for auctions and stuff.
Right.
Then in 2 weeks, they were coming.
Yep.
And it was so sad. I have seats in my garage from I think I have upper deck seats. I think I got
nice
because it tended to be where I'd always end up being. The odd seats that still get brought up every so often at home when my wife goes, if those seats weren't in the garage.
She doesn't realize the importance of those seats.
No, yeah. But that would be number one. I was at the game. They clinched first place in '86.
Oh, nice.
That was a little scary because when they won, the upper deck was visibly moving, not just physically. You
Yes.
felt it. You saw it.
Yeah.
You look like I remember looking. We were looking, and you could see like the pipes that separated the sections
Yep.
going up and down. I'm like, this ain't good. um,
We can laugh about it now, but yeah, at the time.
yeah, but
it's
that
scary.
that game was a classic, and then they after that, I'm sure there's one or two that escape me at the moment, and I think my first game probably I remember I think I was 6.
Yeah.
In 71, and I believe it was a double header. And so I always mention that, and I've tried to figure out what day that was by going to Baseball Reference, but I can't seem to make the pieces all fit.
Yeah. Oh, that's
But,
funny. That last game, first off, before that last game, a few weeks prior, they were doing this thing. I don't think they do it now, but at the time they would have this every once in a while after a game. They would let kids come down and run the bases. And we were at the game where they gave away a Shea Stadium tin.
Oh,
and, yeah. So I got the tin, and this was the last time they were allowing kids to run the bases at Shea. So our timing was perfect. My son was, I think, only maybe 8 or 9 at the time, so I brought him down, and he ran the bases. I'm standing right at home plate. All right, so we walked around the outfield first, so that's what it was. We were in the outfield by the warning track. I filled this tin up with dirt. It was almost like they were saying, here, take a tin and get some dirt. Like, I couldn't believe
no one stopped you.
No one said a word. No one said a word. So I have that. But then at that last game, all these great Mets are, coming in for the ceremony. That was 2009. That was Mike Piazza's first year of retirement. So this was his first time coming back to Shea.
Oh, I forgot that.
So, and if you remember, it was raining before the game.
Yeah.
But we're out there. I have all sorts of video. I got this nice spot, at the entrance where the players, all these old players were entering the stadium. They would come out of the car, and there was this big aisle, and place was going nuts. We were all cheering for these great players. Ralph and Keith and Ron and Gary were out there, like under a little tent broadcasting. It was so much fun. I'll have to dig the video up. But because it was raining, they delayed the game an hour. But all these people that we were all there cheering these old players, because we're there for this wonderful ceremony, most people didn't know that the game was delayed. So a lot of them cleared out to go to their seats for the game. I'm telling you, there was maybe 100 people left, if that. And we're all waiting because we knew Piazza was coming, but he hadn't shown up yet. Sure enough, there's maybe 100 of us, and here he is. And I got to find the video. I got this great video. Piazza stopped for everybody. Anybody that wanted an autograph, anybody that wanted a picture. I mean, it must have taken him 20 minutes to walk 30 feet. And I got this great video of him. He looks right into my camera, does a little wave. His father comes over, Vince, and shakes my hand. I got his autograph. I mean, it was that was like the big thing for us because, again, it was his first time back. That was just amazing. What a great day that was. And I'm with you, though. I wish it was still there. All those great memories.
Oh, yeah.
City is a great place. It's a beautiful stadium, but we just don't have the same caliber of memories, even though it's been, 16 years? It still just doesn't feel like home to me.
Well, you blame blame whoever the players, the front office for that not happening. But I mean, those are pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
I tell people who don't like the Mets, and I say, you got to say one thing about the team though. They've lost more than they've won, and they, in the same city as the Yankees. Okay. I always tell Yankee fans, keep reading your ancient history books of what you did in the past. You've really done nothing lately. Nothing lately. Do not call and complain, folks. But I'll say, the Mets won in ways that teams didn't win.
Right.
They lost in ways that teams never lose. Right. From the 62 Mets, which pretty much got equal last year by the White Sox, to the way the 73 Mets got to the 7th game of the World Series. There was a year that we would have been saying that they shouldn't even, they don't even belong in the postseason.
Oh, absolutely.
And here, I'm praying. You hear me praying for this year? But yeah, there aren't the memories there, and but City Field is something special. I mean, I have some complaints about certain aspects of it. They have no idea how to manage uh, traffic in and out of a parking lot that
Yep, agreed.
should not be a nightmare to get in and out of, because it wasn't. I don't recall it being a nightmare years ago.
Right.
It's a smaller stadium than Shea, but yet I feel like there's no room to walk in there when you're in the concourses. I don't remember the. Then again, there was 15 people at some of those Met games I was at Shea, but it seems like everything is harder to get around.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I'm complaining when I shouldn't be. Then again, that's what I do. But that's beside the point. They'll have memories at Citi Field soon enough.
Favorite Met?
I mean, it's easy to say Tom Seaver, but Tom Seaver, and then after that, if I had to like pull one that others wouldn't pick, favorite Met, Ed Kranepool.
Oh, nice.
Ed Kranepool, because he was a Bronx guy like me.
Okay.
And was with them for so long. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I seem to have a very faint memory that the Red Sox were interested in signing him when the Mets when they let him go after 79. I could be wrong. This could be something that's just, and he didn't, rather than put on another team's uniform, he retired.
No, I think you're right about that. That does ring a bell.
The Red Sox were intrigued, I guess, in bringing him in as a bench player.
Right.
It would have been 1980.
Right.
But he retired instead. So, Ed Kranepool would be kind of like the one that's not the legend, but,
yep.
He was there every year in every yearbook and every scorebook and every baseball card, and there was Ed Kranepool.
2006 or 7, something like, or maybe 8 or 9, I forget now. But I'm at Jones Beach at a Sheryl Crow concert. John Mayer opens up, and I was blown away. First time I've ever seen him, and I was like, wow, This guy's amazing. So it's between acts. Mayer had finished, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm just looking around. I look to my left, one section over, there's a man standing up. It's Ed Kranepool. I'm like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I walk over. He's just standing there. He was kind of doing the same thing, just kind of looking around, killing time before Crow comes on. So I walk right up to him. I said, Mr. Kranepool, I said, I can't believe you're here. I said, but, just wanted to say hi and thanks. I'm a huge Met fan. He says to me, you want an autograph? I'm like, okay. And then I'm thinking, is he going to ask for money? Like, it was so weird. So I have a Sheryl Crow concert ticket signed by Ed Kranepool. He signs it. Then he says to me, do you want a picture? I'm like, okay. So I have a nice picture at home, me and Ed Kranepool.
That's great.
It was very strange. Then he asked me what I do for a living. We were talking for a few minutes. So, but yeah, I just thought it was strange how he was asking more about me. But I walked away. I go back to my seat.
Was he a Sheryl Crow fan? Did he reveal?
I'm trying to remember. He did say something about, I think it was some kind of business outing. I don't know what kind of business he was in. In fact, he had an office in Westbury. I'm retired from the phone company. And so when he asked me what I did for a living, I told him I'm with the phone company. And he actually said, he goes, are you at Shames Drive in Westbury? I said, no, but I know that garage well because I was a Nassau County guy. He goes, I said, but I'm a union guy. He says, go to your union. He goes, and tell them to fix the problem. There's too many trucks that come out at once, and they clog Shames Drive. It takes me an hour to get out of my office. It was the weirdest. It was the strangest thing. I was like, okay, Mr. Kranepool, I'll go back and complain to somebody. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know what he was into after his career was over. But yeah, it was some kind of business thing that with clients that he was
right.
with.
That's wild. I mean, he probably was so programmed. Fan comes up to me. Fan's going to ask me for, and
right.
maybe
let me get the autograph over with.
Present it right away, and he's like, the script next is give autograph, take picture, and move on.
Right. And it was actually funny. I saw a guy, before Crow had come on, I'm back in my seat, and I'm just still in shock for probably the rest of the night. So I just kept looking over that way. And he was walking, probably go to the bathroom or get a snack or something, but he's walking down the aisle, and a guy with a Mets jersey walks right past him, and this guy had no clue who he just passed. And that always just struck me.
Well,
funny.
I was at a game Friday night, and it was Friday night's game, this past Friday night's game, and I was with my wife's job, and there was some young. They had to be in their early 20s, mid 20s, and I heard them ask amongst themselves why the Mets had a 7 on the sleeve.
Oh, jeez.
And I happened to catch a pic because they were looking at a still of whoever was on the scoreboard was up at bat, and you saw the 7.
Mhm.
And I even actually forgot that they still had the 7 up there. So I look up and I hear one of them say very innocently, it's probably because of the 7 line, I think.
Oh,
and I turned around and I have to admit, I could have been nicer about it, but I had a little bit of, no, it's Ed Kranepool. The young, it's Ed Kranepool. And
they were like, wow, Darren Devivo's a
I
dick.
wanted to tell him he's the bass player from Third Eye Blind or something. But it said, no, he was a Met, and he died about a year ago. And I told him that Davey Johnson, who managed it, and they're going to be wearing, they'll have his number on the sleeve next year.
Right.
And they're like, oh, great. It's like, okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, okay. But, you mentioned John Mayer there. John Mayer is a big Met fan.
Yes. Yes, you spot him at games. Him and Seinfeld, right? You spot them at games sometimes, yeah.
I saw Dead and Company during their last tour. They played Citi Field.
Right.
And, most of the set, John Mayer was wearing a Mets jersey.
Nice.
During the show while he was playing.
Yeah.
And I forget, he had a player on the back, and I don't remember now for the life of me who it was. But yeah, John Mayer is something else. Some of his music is a little too bland for me.
Yes.
But when he starts playing guitar, it's like, holy smoke.
Oh, his last album sucked balls, but yeah, he's got some great stuff, man. I
interviewed him twice at FUV, and it was early in his career when his breakthrough album "Room for Squares" came out, and then
Sure.
he came up. I think the album he put out after that, he came back for a second time.
Continuum.
And the second interview, he kind of knew me. We were a little looser, and he had a tendency of being very silly.
Oh,
and
he's
very
done
funny.
he's done stand up.
Yeah, it was very. I don't exactly remember because it was so many years ago now, but
Yeah.
he was very funny, and he was a good guest.
Well, all right, that's an excellent segue because I have a whole list here of people that you've interviewed. And
Who?
all right, well, let's see. All right, I'll just start right from the beginning. David Bowie.
Yes. Oh, you want me to elaborate?
You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, okay. Bowie was great. Bowie was like a regular guy. I mean, I was all like at the beginning of the interview. By the end of it, I'm like,
Yeah.
Going to ask him who his favorite Met was. I mean, he was really nice, straightforward, nice guy.
Well, and I bring the list because I mean it's such a. I mean, we're talking about real heavy hitters here. Brian Wilson, Robert Plant, Peter Gabriel, Donald Fagen. Now Fagen? Every time I mention Donald Fagen, all I think is that Yacht Rock documentary where in the middle of it they taped the phone call where they asked him to be a part of this documentary.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Fuck off," and he hangs up on the guy.
Yeah.
That's all I think about now. Was he? But he's got a off sense of humor. He's a funny guy.
I'll be honest with you. I've done so many, as you could tell. You rattle off just a handful of names there.
Oh, I got more.
I never completely relax when I would do them because I was a fanboy really first.
I hear you.
Having to be like this professional interviewer, but like when the white terror, I'd feel, oh my God, it's him. I had those moments so many times.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, Fagen was a little difficult at the beginning, and I was clearly on eggshells, nervous, and
Right.
at ease as we went. And I remember the end of the interview being much smoother, and it went well. And I remember asking him, he had just released his solo album, Morph the Cat.
Oh, sure.
And it wasn't long after Steely Dan's, what ended up being the last album, Everything Must Go, had come out. And I asked him if that was any if there was any subtle meaning to the title of that album, Everything Must Go, was Steely Dan going out of business. And he kind of said, nah, and I'm like, well, and that's what ended up happening.
Yeah.
Their last album. But yeah, Fagan was one of the ones you mentioned that was not that easy was Brian Wilson. And that was a phone interview. That wasn't in person.
Oh, okay.
Brian was tough to talk to. For obvious reasons. He was just, I had read a couple of interviews he had just done. So I had some questions that I never really prepared like this.
Yeah.
But I figured, I think I'm going to ask the question like this guy asked it in this article or something like that. And I don't remember what the question was, but Brian's answer was completely different. He said I was wrong and blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to say to him, but it says right here, Brian, and you said blah, 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 blah. But, I'm not even sure we were able to use it on the air, or we used pieces of it around a little showcase on whatever album he had out at that time.
Oh, he was such a genius, but but I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but he wasn't. He had his issues, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't really all there the last, probably 10 years of his life. I'm sure an interview like that, I would be thinking in my head, oh, this would have been better if I just emailed him questions and he can email me back.
Maybe it was better than I think. Again, at the beginning, we were talking about glass half empty and finding the guy in the audience who's not laughing at the jokes. So most of the interviews I'd come out of, I beat myself up about. For Donald Fagen, it was days I was depressed because I thought I laid an egg.
Right.
And most of these interviews I've never listened back to.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's interesting.
I can't.
We have a little over. We have about 15 minutes left. So many questions I want to ask. So I have the list here, which I am going to rattle off. But there's one.
Good.
I'm just going to ask you. I'm just going to run the list down. But I do want one person on this list that I would love to know about was David Crosby. He's one of my favorites. He strikes me as he could be a dick too, or struck me.
I interviewed. I'm trying to remember now. It's so funny. You'd think you're like, what happened to my memory? He was in a band. You may remember CPR.
Loved CPR.
It was his son James Raymond and guitarist Jeff Pevar.
Right.
They had they had an album out, and this was and I remember doing the interview in some sort of theater. It wasn't at WFUV. It was in a small theater with an audience. And I don't for the life of me remember where it was. Most of the interview was with James Raymond and Jeff Pevar. David Crosby didn't participate much and didn't seem like the friendliest person in the world. I don't really have any recollection of there being anything between the two of us. It was a lot of James and James Raymond and Jeff Pevar, and I was trying to go, listen, I'm thinking to myself, this band, I know it's David Crosby. They have a new album out. They're here for a reason. I probably have a short period of time to talk with them. They're going to want to talk about their new music. I'm not going to start picking David Crosby's brain about Woodstock decades ago.
Right.
So, but I don't, he came off as being, I'm sure he was pleasant, but not much more than that I don't barely even remember.
I've met, never met Crosby, but I have met James Raymond and Jeff Pevar. James Raymond especially, he talks to you like he's known you forever. I mean, we had this, I think it was like we talked for 10 minutes, and it was just like talking to a buddy. Such a nice guy. And then going with that, Graham Nash, celebrity or not, one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. I've met him twice.
Yeah.
Super, super nice man. That blew me away. But yeah, just, to talk about your career and your days in radio. I mean, so I mentioned Robert Plant, Peter Gabriel, David Crosby, Robert Robertson of the band, Sting, John Fogerty, Bob Geldof, David Sanborn, Harry Shearer, Chris Robinson of the Black Crowes, Warren Zevon, Charlie Hayden, Carlos Santana, Buddy Guy, Tears for Fears, Roger McGuinn. I mentioned John Mayer. But then there's also a ton of Beatle-related people, such as Julian Lennon, Danny Harrison, George's son, former members of Wings. You actually have talked to Ringo, that's a very impressive list. So, and then talk about walking on eggshells. I mean, were you what you must have been, in a good way, a mess talking to Ringo.
I was a mess for most of the names you just mentioned. I'm selling myself short. I probably inside was a mess and a nervous wreck, and it wasn't quite coming forward. I thought I would always think it was. It would be like Chris Farley. Damn it, stupid Chris.
right.
But with Ringo, I remember there were some things that were good. They were distracting. I had an engineer with me who was going to handle all of the tape machine and the mics, so I wasn't worried about that.
Right.
The interview took place at a suite in the Carlisle Hotel. I knew I was never going to be in a suite in the Carlisle Hotel again.
Right.
So I was there early, and I was kind of picking around the other rooms and seeing what the other side of a Holiday Inn looked like. So I was a little that was a good distraction.
Yeah.
And then when Ringo came into the room, I didn't have much of a chance to get too panicky because he was a bundle of energy. It's almost like he bounced into the room.
He's Tigger.
And exactly. And he kind of at the big, very cool, very polite, no issue, said, "You got 20 minutes." I was like,
wow.
fine. Because I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I could live 20 minutes in the same room with you and stay focused. So
Right.
that's great. And it whizzed by. It went by real fast.
Sure,
And
I bet.
at the end, the really nice thing was that he was starting with his not wanting to sign autograph stuff. I don't want to make this a long story, but my daughter at the time was 3 or 4. Excuse me. And she had this pretty wicked hip infection that she needed major hip surgery.
Oh, wow.
And ended up in a body cast for 2 months.
Oh, my goodness.
Everything's fine.
Thank God.
But at that time, I think she was still in the body cast. She loved Yellow Submarine, and like a lot of kids do, she took to Ringo. And she used to like to draw. And when you're in a body cast in a hospital bed in your living room, you're drawing a lot.
Yeah.
So she drew a bunch of pictures for Ringo. So I took them, and I told Ringo, my daughter drew these for you, and I'm trying to be quick and to the point, but tell him what, this kid had. We thought her leg was going to get amputated, while we're...
That's not the
and
worst
it
thing in
was
the world,
really
by the way, having a leg amputation. I do just fine.
Oh, wow. Oh.
That wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. You gave me a softball, and I took it.
So he was very cool, and he signed, I forget which album, but he signed it to Emily.
Oh, nice.
From Ringo Starr. And then he signed my CD, the Ringo Rama album, which was the new one he had just put out.
Which is a great album.
And he signed the CD for me. And then I felt bad, but my engineer was like, "Ringo, my dad's White Album. Sorry, son. I only sign autographs for little girls in body casts." Something funny like that where you laughed. And he was like, "Bye, boys. Time to go shopping." And he bounced out of the room. And I looked at my watch and I was like, son of a bitch, 20 minutes.
Wow.
He knew, like he had a clock in his head. This is now my time. Bye, boys. Out.
Wow.
And that was it. And after that, it was like you went through the period of, did that really happen?
Yep. Absolutely.
Chris, you remembered to hit play and record, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Please say yes, Chris. That's great.
How did we get down here? I drove, Darren. Right. Oh, okay. It was like that. You were like, okay. Darren, just sit down in the car. It's okay. We'll take you home now and you can go to bed. So that was a great moment. And it was ended up being really cool and a good memory. I always have these black clouds over my accomplishments. That one wasn't one of them.
Yeah, absolutely right. Wow, that's a great story, by the way. Thanks for sharing that. We got a little less than 10 minutes. We're hanging out with Darren Devivo. 1 o'clock today, we have Peter Schwartz with Sports Bash. I could go all day with this. This is just great. I thank you for your time. I just want to throw because there's so many questions I still have that I would love to just get to. All right, I'm going to try and make this quick. So, as you know, your time at FUV, or you also host 2 podcasts that are Beatle related.
Now, yeah.
What was your favorite, like? How do I explain this? So like a new development in Beatles world, not talking about, things that they did back in the 60s, like something new happened. Maybe it was like the announcement of an album, or like what news item about the Beatles was one of your favorite things to report? Say whether it was on the radio or on the podcast. Did that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
That was when Free as a Bird, the song came out.
Sure. Yep.
The anticipation of a new Beatles song. The anticipation of, that alone, the Beatles anthology documentary coming, but a new song that was going to be played at the end of the show. And I remember the butterflies, the excitement that night that was coming. Even I think it was the, little AM radio in the bathroom earlier in the day. I clicked it on while I was in there, and I think it was WINS. It was a headline on a Sunday afternoon.
Right.
Tonight, the Beatles, their first song in 25 years, would it have been?
Yeah.
Then?
Yep.
Is going to be released, revealed, and that chill. And then when they played the song at the end of that show, you almost felt like these were voices coming from another realm, another world. This can't be. And that's the first thing I think of.
And then when it clicked that the video was all like these Easter eggs about the Beatles, like you're taking in the song, but then you realize what this video is too. It was almost overwhelming. It was so much fun.
And the other memory, really quick, about Beatles Anthology, ABC aired it in 3 parts that week of Thanksgiving.
Right.
So it was a Sunday night, and then I think it was then something like Wednesday was part 2. The third and final part was Thanksgiving night. Okay, now at that time, I was newly married. We lived in the Bronx. We were going to my in-laws' house. My wife's parents lived in Shirley. Okay?
Yeah,
and
sure.
we were going to their house for Thanksgiving. Problem. At 8 o'clock tonight, part 3 of the Beatles Anthology. I don't want to watch this on someone else's TV because I'm not staying till 11 at someone's house on Thanksgiving. I'm going to record it on the VCR, and I don't trust technology to work. So I want to be there to go right when the show started, play and record.
Yeah.
And needless to say, it was one of the earlier nuclear wars that I was in with my wife. When it was, okay, we're going to head out now. It's the traffic. It's 6 o'clock. And it's like, I was like, why'd you marry him?
Yeah.
So I'll always think of the anthology to this day.
Yeah.
Won't mention it. And my wife will look at my kids and go, you know what your father did? And of course, did they side with me? You let him get away with that, Dad? I'm like, come on. It was the Beatles Anthology.
That's great. That's very funny. Favorite Beatle bootleg?
I was never a big bootleg person, so I can't answer that.
Oh, really?
I know the one that I got most excited about when I bought it was the Black album, Japanese triple album.
Yep.
That was packaged like a black-white album.
Right.
And it was all it was the audio from the Nagra reels of the Get Back sessions. So It was the film, but most of it were cues from the cameramen, beeps, tones, and songs cut off midway through.
Right.
So I was listening to a triple album of, boy, this is irritating as crap. Because they would start doing a song and then it would cut off because they turned the camera off.
Yep. But back then, that was probably early 90s when that came out. And, that was before, by the late 90s, everything was out and everything was accessible. But back then, that was an early bootleg. So
I was never a big bootleg person because they always tended to be a little too expensive, and I would rather have bought some new music from any artist than spend $50 for this one thing, and it's what? Oh, it's 25 volumes. Right. I can't do this, pal.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Yeah, I've spent too much money on certain bootlegs. All right, so we got to go in a second. I just have just maybe 3 or 4 questions left. Favorite Little Rascals episode?
Oh,
I've seen you
popping up.
You've been posting clips of Little Rascals on your
they
Facebook.
pop up on Facebook. I like the when Spanky's talking to the old banker.
Oh, on the
I
phone.
want to speak to old Cap. Well, why didn't you say so? Or I will still every once in a while randomly just shout out, hey, Chubsy Ubsy, there's going to be something heavy on your head. So, I mean...
Don't call me Norman.
Stuff like that.
That's a great one.
Bits, little pieces. But, yeah, they still crack me up big time today.
Oh, yeah. And you talk about Starstruck, forgive me, I tell this story all the time on this show, but 1991, I met Spanky, and
wow.
Yeah, I mean, even now, I stuttered trying to even talk about it. I really, that was a kid meeting Santa Claus moment. And I have a great picture of me and him together. Yeah, I couldn't believe I was actually meeting Spanky. That just blew me away. All right, so before we go, we wish you all the best, and I have a feeling you're going to bounce back because you're Darren Devivo, for crying out loud. So what is the next move? So is it satellite radio? Do we have to put cement shoes on somebody at FUV, or do we get you in here and we start figuring out how to build this?
I've got a bunch of things in my mind. I have been thinking for a long time about, launching a YouTube channel so I could do the interviews again, because they really had dried up for me. In the past 5-6 years, I think I've interviewed like Tears for Fears, and that was via Zoom during the pandemic. And I think I interviewed Mike Campbell from the Heartbreakers, but his
Dirty Knobs.
Yeah. So I'd like to do that. There's little things out there right now, and it's still very hazy and foggy, and I don't know. I have my 2 podcasts, if I can mention them really quick.
Yes, please. I was going to ask you that anyway. And
Things We Said Today.
Right.
And all you need to do is just do a Google search, Things We Said Today podcast, and you'll find it. We have a YouTube channel. We encourage people to watch the show on YouTube. If you want to go audio like a classic podcast, you can. The other one is Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video podcast, which is, just solo Beatles. And same thing, do a Google search. And it also is centered on a YouTube page, but you could go the audio route. And the most recent Talk More Talk, the sad thing is I do the shows and a day later I can't remember what the heck we talked about. And I don't remember now without looking at my notes what our recent show was. But it's there. You'll find it, and then you'll find out, and you can let me know.
Very nice. Yeah, great shows. And yeah, I was going to ask you, so find that stuff. Are there socials or websites you want to push as well, or?
No, not really. I'm all over Facebook, and as things develop for me, hopefully sooner than later, I have, like I said, a few things that might be germinating. I'm going to probably spew them all over Facebook. So
okay, good, and yeah, we'll definitely see you. There's no doubt in my mind, that you will. It's a blessing in disguise, and we'll see you somewhere.
I hope.
Yeah,
I hope.
Absolutely.
I miss it. It's a tough time for me now, but
Well, yeah, like I said, I do think we'll see you somewhere. So,
right.
So
I'm hoping for the Beatles Sirius channel.
I mean, that I've had that's been on the radar in the back of my head for years now, and it's a tough egg to crack, and I don't know if I can crack it, which has nothing to do with me or talent or anything like that. It's just the industry's changed completely. It's not, what I walked into in the 80s, and so if the planets align right, maybe it's to be. We'll see.
Okay.
I hope so.
Well,
please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, sorry that things have gone this way, but do look forward to seeing what's the next chapter. And this was a lot of fun. I thank you very much for hanging with us today and doing all the 90 minutes with us. All the best, and hopefully we'll do it again. Once you know where you're going to end up, or once we'll see where the Mets end up. Maybe we'll do it again at some point. Let's go.
All right,
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Darren. Appreciate it. Frank, who's a musical guest next week, Frank? Next Thursday.
Matthew Ponso.
Okay. I'll have to look up who that is. All right.
Yep, I'll send it to you.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Darren Devivo, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So with that, it is time for us to get out of here. Well, like I said, Peter Schwartz today at 1 o'clock, Sports Bash with Peter Schwartz. It's going to be a fun show today. Let's see. And then today is Thursday. So we got Primal Scream with Nick Greystone at 8 o'clock. Nick has just been nominated for the Best of Long Island Best Podcast. So if you're curious why he was nominated, check us out at 8 o'clock. So that's Gov's Comedy Club Podcast. Tomorrow morning, Coffee with the Dog at 9 a.m. I'll be in here with Rosie tomorrow at 11 a.m. And then, of course, the club, Governors in Levittown. The main club will be back open in a couple of weeks. The Giggle Room is open. They got the Brokerage in Belmore and McGuire's out in Bohemia. Some of the names you'll see on the Governor's stage this week: Luis Gomez, Andrew Kennedy, Mats Palazza, Benny Rizzuto's birthday bash with Joe Curry, Mezzi Sarah. Those are just some of the names you'll see on the Governor's stage this weekend. Go to govs.com, make your reservation. Don't forget, October 4th, I'll be hosting in the Giggle Room. It's going to be a fun night. The flyer says 7:30, but the time has changed to 9 o'clock. But we got comedians from Staten Island. We got some from the city. We have comedians from the D.C. area coming up. We got comedians from Long Island. We have 2 people making their stand-up debut. It's going to be a fun night, so please join us. govs.com. Govs.com is how to make your reservations. Please make your reservations to that show. I had a lot of people telling me that they can't wait to see it, but you can't just walk in. You got to make your reservations, damn it. govs.com. And last but not least, knockemdeadcomedy.com. We will be at McGuire's in December. We have some murder mysteries throughout the fall, so go to knockemdeadcomedy.com. See how you can, see our schedule, and there's information on how you can hire us for your event. All right, with that, I think that covers everything. Everybody, once again, Darren DeVivo, Frank.